जैश-ए-मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के नाम से एक जमात का ऐलान किया है और इस जमात की क़ियादत मौलाना मोहम्मद मसूद अजहर की सपुर्द की है।
इंशाअल्लाह ये लश्कर दुश्मनों को ज़्यादा दिन खुशी भी नहीं मनाने देगा। ये चाहते हैं कि क़यामत के दिन ये मोदी और वाजपेयी के यारों दोस्तों में उठाए जाएं।
Our primary concern was the earliest termination of the hijacking and the safe return of all passengers and crew.
ये बहुत बड़ी साजिश थी। इसमें पाकिस्तान का जो मिशन था काठमांडू में, उसके कुछ लोग भी इन्वॉल्व थे।
आज मानवता के दुश्मनों ने हिंदुस्तान की सैन्य शक्ति का एक महत्वपूर्ण अंग एयरबेस को उड़ा देने का प्रयास किया।
Hello and welcome to CNI. I am Shams Tahir Khan. From the Red Books of Crime Records, CNI brings to you those infamous cases which once rocked the country and shocked the people. 22 years ago, the Indian Army arrested a militant who had come to Kashmir from Pakistan. Following his interrogation, the Army, police, as well as intelligence agencies believed that, like many others, he was one of the youth gone astray, and he was put behind bars. However, his identity was questioned after 6 big attempts were made to secure his release. But before he could be identified, one incident left the entire nation stunned. From the attack on Parliament to one on Indian Air Force base in Pathankot, Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Maulana Masood Azhar is behind most of them. And Indian agencies have been on a lookout for him for last 16 years.
24th December 1999, 5:30 p.m. Tribhuvan International Airport, Kathmandu. Indian Airlines flight IC-814 took off from Kathmandu's Tribhuvan International Airport for Delhi. With 178 passengers on board, most of them were coming back after a vacation in Nepal. A few minutes after takeoff, and as soon as the plane entered Indian airspace, 5 passengers stood up. They were Ibrahim Attar, Shahid Akhtar Saeed, Sunny Ibrahim Qazi, Mistri Zahur Ibrahim, and Shakir Sukur. All of them belonged to Pakistan. All of them were carrying weapons. They announced that the plane has been hijacked. One of them directed Flight Captain Devi Sharan to reroute the flight to Lahore. He even threatened to blow up the plane if his instructions weren't followed. By then, Indian agencies had received the information that IC-814 had been hijacked. Immediately, New Delhi switched into action mode. High-profile meetings were scheduled, but the terrorists had done meticulous planning. Pakistan, clearly worried about the possible consequences of an Indian hijacked plane on its territory, refused permission to land. The captain of the IC flight then said there was insufficient fuel. He then persuaded the hijackers to allow him to land the plane in Amritsar. But even before refueling could be done, the terrorists feared an attack on them. As a result, in less than an hour, the plane was airborne once again. At 10:30 p.m., Lahore. After receiving permission to land now, the plane touched down in Lahore. It was refueled and asked to leave immediately. The terrorists then directed the plane to land in Dubai. 27 of the passengers were released in Dubai, while one passenger, Rupen Katyal, was stabbed by the terrorists. Katyal later succumbed to his injuries. From Dubai, the plane was taken to Kandahar in Afghanistan. The country was under Taliban control at the time. On reaching Kandahar, the terrorists put forth their first demand. They wanted 35 terrorists in Indian jails to be released and $200 million in return for the passengers. Thus began the negotiations. 6 days went on. Meanwhile, in Kandahar, Taliban militants surrounded the plane to prevent Indian commandos from entering it. The terrorists had threatened to kill all passengers if their demands weren't met. The hijacking drama stretched over a week. It finally ended with the Vajpayee government accepting the hijackers' demands for the release of 3 dreaded terrorists: Maulana Masood Azhar, Ahmad Umar Saeed Sheikh, and Mushtaq Ahmad Zargar. The Indian government had taken a decision to release these militants for the safe return of 148 passengers. The then External Affairs Minister Jaswant Singh and Intelligence Bureau Chief Ajit Doval took Maulana Masood Azhar, Umar Sheikh and Mushtaq Zargar in a special plane to Kandahar. Where the dreaded trio were handed over to the Taliban. This ensured the safe return of 148 passengers to India.
The mastermind who plotted disaster on Indian soil was set free after reaching Kandahar on 31st December 1999. Masood Azhar and Umar Sheikh went to meet Mullah Umar and Al-Qaeda chief Osama bin Laden exactly after a month. All of them then went to Pakistan on 31st of January 2000. In a Karachi mosque, amid thousands of heavily armed terrorists, Masood announced the formation of Jaish-e-Mohammed.
Masood Azhar was born on the 10th of July 1968 in Bahawalpur area of Punjab in Pakistan. His father worked as a headmaster in a school there. Masood was the third child out of his 11 siblings. When he studied in class 8, a friend of his father took him to the Jamia Ulum ul Islamia in Karachi for further studies. It was there that Masood Azhar came in contact with a number of students who were under the influence of Harkatul Mujahideen terrorists. At that time, the HUM was active in Afghanistan. By the late 1980s, Masood had transformed into a terrorist himself. It was the time when the war between the Soviet Union and Afghanistan was at its peak. Masood traveled to Afghanistan for training. After he completed that training, he returned to Pakistan. Till 1992, Masood Azhar stayed in Pakistan. There he collected enough funds to be able to help terrorists in Afghanistan. This impressed Harkatul Mujahideen chief Khalil, who then started sending Masood on foreign missions. Masood first went to Saudi Arabia for the Hajj, and there he managed to collect a sum of 3 lakh rupees in just a few days. He then went to what was then Zambia in Africa. He met and held talks with impressionable youth in Birmingham, Nottingham, Leicester and London as well. His venomous speeches fueled the fire of hatred and terrorism. Soon his handlers realized that Masood Azhar is no ordinary terrorist and could be used to train a new generation of militants. The Pakistani terrorists were now eyeing India. With the support of the Pakistan government and assistance from their army and intelligence agencies, Masood Azhar was now planning his entry into India. He didn't want to come to India with his real name as he feared arrest. In 1994, Masood Azhar was sent to Kashmir to pour fuel into the militancy there. He used a Portuguese passport to fly to Delhi via Dhaka, and from Delhi he went to Srinagar. By then, militancy had started spreading in the valley. Masood Azhar realized that the timing was perfect to breed terrorism. He wanted to use the mosques for his purpose. It was in 1994 when Masood, accompanied by another terrorist, Sajjad, was on his way to Jama Masjid. His car broke down on the way. The two then took an auto rickshaw but were arrested by the army midway. Masood was taken for just another youth gone astray. He was taken to be just another terrorist.
Masood Azhar stopped singing in custody. He pretended to be a journalist, while his handlers in Pakistan were nervous. They feared that Masood would spill the beans on Pakistan.
Masood acted naive in front of RAW and other intelligence agencies. They were unaware of his malicious intent. As a result, the intelligence agencies closed their report, saying that Masood had no role to play in any terrorist activity in Kashmir. Meanwhile, Masood's release from the Indian prison was important for Pakistan. Hence, efforts for his release escalated across the border. The first attempt was made in June 1994. 2 British tourists were abducted from Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir by Harkat al-Ansar. The abductors asked for Masood's release in return for the safety of these tourists, but this plan didn't work out. The ISI sent Umar Sheikh to India. He was the Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist who had kidnapped and killed Wall Street Journal journalist Daniel Pearl. Born in Britain and a student of the London School of Economics, Umar Sheikh befriended an American and 3 British nationals. He then duped them and took them hostage in outer Delhi area. However, the police managed to get them freed. Pakistan was still plotting Masood Azhar's release. In 1995, Al-Faran, a wing of the Harkat ul-Ansar, abducted 5 foreign nationals. This time as well, they demanded Masood Azhar's release. Even the Pakistan High Commission in India advocated his release on the pretext of him being a journalist. Meanwhile, intelligence agencies had begun to understand that Masood Azhar was no ordinary terrorist, because had he been one, Pakistan wouldn't have made so many attempts to get him released. In 1999, Sajjad Afghani, along with some other terrorists, dug a tunnel inside a cell of the Kot Bhalwal jail in Jammu. The tunnel was dug to help Masood Azhar escape. But after going 6 feet inside it, Masood realized that he was simply too fat to be able to cross it, and so he returned. Sajjad was killed in police firing.
After this incident, ISI feared for Masood's life, and it was then that his handlers in Pakistan, along with ISI and Pakistan Army, hatched a conspiracy to hijack an Indian plane. Indian Airlines flight IC-814 fell prey to their plot. After 6 long years of efforts from Pakistan, Masood was freed on 31st of December 1999.
Soon after his release, Masood resumed his war against India. On the 28th of June 2000, Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists attacked the Jammu and Kashmir Secretariat. In October 2001, 3 suicide bombers of the Jaish-e-Mohammed attacked Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. 35 people lost their lives in that attack. On the 13th of December 2001, Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists attacked India's parliament. 5 security personnel of the Delhi police were killed. On the 24th of September 2002, 2 heavily armed Jaish terrorists entered the premises of the Akshardham temple situated in Gandhinagar area of Gujarat and started indiscriminate firing. This attack left 33 people, including 2 national security guards, dead and 81 others injured. Jaish terrorists also struck Ayodhya and Varanasi. And most recently, Masood Azhar masterminded the attack on the Pathankot Air Force Base. 7 military men lost their lives. Even after all these attacks on Indian soil, Masood Azhar roams freely in Pakistan. Every minute he conspires against India under the banner of the Jaish in Bahawalpur area of Pakistan. Post the Pathankot attack, India has been mounting pressure on Pakistan to arrest Masood Azhar. There were reports that suggested Pakistani authorities had detained Masood Azhar, but they turned out to be just rumors. It's been 16 years since Masood Azhar's release. He's wanted in around 20 terrorist attacks on India in the past 16 years. But Masood Azhar continues to elude Indian agencies.
It's been 16 years since Masood was released. He is wanted in around 20 terrorist attacks on India in the past 16 years. But Masood Azhar continues to elude Indian agencies. This was all in today's episode. CNI will be back next week on the same channel at the same time with another crime story, which once took the country by storm. Till then, goodbye and keep watching India Today.